understanding. Yeah, so what you have in the understanding of Jewish and Christian, what sometimes referred to as atonement, right? How do you become right with God? In ancient Judaism, you have the sacrificial system that's set up in the temple. And so in the Levitical law, you have the book of Leviticus sandwiched right in the middle between the two holiness codes. You have Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, right, where they would make the sacrifice on behalf of the nation and the peoples, the surrounding nations. And so there was always this understanding that salvation was something done to you on the basis of God's work. However, in paganism, that was not a concept. Right? Salvation is not something done to you. Salvation is something that you can attain on your own. So, and so the Gnostics in particular capitalize on this, where, like I said before, it's not just that Jesus is divine, it's that you're divine, and you unlock this divinity through the secret knowledge. So this is not something that would have been compatible with either ancient Judaism or particularly Christianity, because the whole message of Christianity was you can't become it.
You can't do it.
You are unable to. The wages of sin is death. But Paul says the gift of God is eternal. And it's salvation is something that's done strong to you.
Because in most other, really exclusively only Christianity says the opposite of this, but every other religion says that you can make it to God. You can make yourself right with God and pay the debt that you owe Him from what you have. When the reality is, we spent what He gave us. And now, like, think about it this way. You loan your friend $5, you loan your friend $10, and then he spends half of it. As you expected him to. But then time comes for him to pay up. And you're like, yo, bro, I need my $10 back. He's like, oh, I'm sorry, bro, I only have 5. Is it good enough? That's kind of like what we tell God when we say, hey, I think my good deeds are deserving. I think I deserve heaven. I think I deserve to come to your house. When you say that, I mean, what are you supposed to do? What is he supposed to do?
Based on the finished work of Christ on the cross. But that's not what we get within these other gospels. We get something very different. It strips down Jesus to a very simplistic.
Oh yeah, the Gnostic gospels, or maybe not. Are they all Gnostic? I guess they are all Gnostic. Because what is it? I know some of them are crazy. Like Gospel of. Yeah, I think it's the last line of the Gospel of Peter where he's like, send her away. I know what it says, but I can't say it on. Yeah. Oh yeah. Whatever. We can make it like that. Maybe I'll just do this from now on. I'll just start talking while this thing's going. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Oh, by the way, this video is Wesley Huck featuring on the Julian Dory podcast. If y'all want to check it out, it was posted a month ago, December 6th. It is episode 257.
Kind of pagan philosopher. Rather than being a Jewish rabbi who steeped in the Judaism of his day, but then incorporates and fulfills these ideals and messianic expectations. Messianic expectations. These ideals and messianic expectations. Who steeped in the Judaism of his day, but then incorporates and fulfills these ideals and messianic expectations.
So, let's bring this back to the Council of Nicaea.
Yeah.
Because this is really the background.
Just a total aside, this is definitely the best suspension I've ever had in a car. I usually kind of wing the tuning, but good lord, this was comfortable.
What we've been talking about is how, kind of like within the early church itself, they worked out what's there and what's not. But what you had said at the beginning of this, when we were talking about the council, was that none of this as far as like the Roman Empire goes, they just kind of took what the church was doing on the text. So the quote-unquote banned Gospels, with some of the problems that you had within them, as far as like whether they had paganism aspects or whatever, like they just put those to the side on the recommendation of the Lord.
Well, sort of. Sometimes it's portrayed as if there is like these dozens of groups which we categorize as Gnostics, which are really, the dispersed group. They contradict each other.
here we go.
They have their needs. Right? Jesus is either whispering into Mary's ear, or he's whispering into Peter's ear, or he's whispering into Philip's ear. The things that are said about these particular people are contradictory within each of these documents. They don't even agree on what everyone else is saying. But they're also not very popular, and they're really only delegated to specific places.
They're not popular and didn't
So by the time the Council of Nicaea rolls
proliferate.
around, Gnosticism and all these different groups have really had their heyday. They're almost dying out. Now, a lot of these Gnostic groups end up surviving past Christianity, and past the Council of Nicaea in particular. But right in the Middle Ages, right, you have the Cathars. We're going to get to that. Okay, but by the time of the Council of Nicaea, they're almost exclusively dead. So it's not even really in contention. And these other writings, where the difference of having, dozens of copies of the 27 books of the New Testament all over the ancient world, hundreds, if not thousands, by the time you get to the 3rd, 4th century, you really only have maybe a few copies of the Gospel of Thomas in an isolated area within Upper Egypt. You might have the Gospel of Peter in a particular area.
Really, the issue is copying quantity. The others have thousands. The other